So our house was full. It was a while back, but the family was all there. And with all the kids being there, that means 5 grandkids all underfoot and bouncing off the walls. Was it exhausting? Yes. But there was this moment where I just kind of slowed down and I just listened to the sounds of the home for a little bit. And it was just filled with laughter and teasing and fighting over toys and little kids crying. And then there were the conversation between adults and the arguing over political issues. And then there were the clanging of pots and pans in the kitchen as Bonnie was making dinner for all of us. And just about the time I was taking in all the sounds, and then suddenly there was the sound of saying goodbyes and hugs and cars pulling out of the driveway, and then we walked inside. And I sat down. I just needed a little rest, and I thought that's what I was in line for. And suddenly, my wife went right into clean house mode, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you going to help clean house or just sit there and watch TV?" I said, "Is that an option?" She said, "No." And, I said, "I just need to rest for," she said, no rest for you, handsome." So I added that last part, of course, but our series is running on empty, and there is wisdom that we've been pulling from scriptures, God's wisdom. And today I'm going to tune us in for just a moment to the wisdom of our King. Scriptures have a lot to say about rest. Oh my goodness, God bless everyone for all that you did to pull off Harvest of Talents this year. God bless the Harvest of Talent team. God bless IDES for all you do. You are a trusted agent for us. And we love funneling those funds through IDES, and they get into places, into the nooks and crannies of a broken world that we couldn't get to, and they serve people in such a huge way. And just God bless all of that. And I'm not minimizing today the value of a workload when it's all boots on the ground, man, let's go. There's things to be done, but there's also given to us by God a calling to rest. And today's a good day to talk about rest. Now, which of the 10 commandments do you think requires the most explanation? When God was giving us the 10, which required the most explanation? Thou shalt not murder? No, that's pretty easy. Thou shalt not lie? No. Thou shalt not steal? Nope. Believe it or not, the commandment that uses the most words to explain it is the commandment to rest. Just the beginning of that starts in Exodus chapter 20, verse 9. Remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy. 6 days you shall work, and the 7th you shall rest. And then the next several sentences are all part of explaining what that rest looks like. Your favorite psalm, Psalm 23, talks about the Lord is my shepherd, that he's my great shepherd, Psalm 23. But then it says, but he makes me lie down in green pastures also. He makes me lie down at times. And let me tell you something. In this psalm, it's about the Lord being our shepherd. That means we're his sheep. Let me tell you about sheep. Sheep are one of the worst for rest there's ever been. Rest is just not something natural to sheep. Dogs like to sit around and doze. Cats love to cat nap. Even bears hibernate for a long time. Most animals in the animal kingdom know how to rest. But 2 of God's creations don't do it well, sheep and humans. Sheep need everything to be perfect. No predators around, no noise, no insects. Very, very quiet, very peaceful, a full belly. In order for them to rest, they have to have things perfect. And I find that humans have a hard time shutting it down. And God knew you would have a hard time shutting it down. The pulling into the driveway, the phone rings, it's my son. I always take phone calls from the family. And so I was rushed a little bit. Bonnie said, be home at this time. I'm making dinner. I was running behind, so I was just hurrying. And so I'm in my car, and I got the phone on my shoulder and up under my ear, but I'm grabbing my laptop, I'm grabbing my jacket, I'm hiding the bag from McDonald's that I don't want to buy, and just all this stuff, and I'm rushing into the house, and I walk in real quick, and I'm here, and I get that tilted head, and I say goodbye to my son, and we sit down, Bonnie and I eat, and when we're done eating, and we're just kind of sitting around, it was later in the evening, Bonnie said, would you like to go for a walk? I said, yeah, let's go for a walk. We stepped out the front door, and my car was still running. I had failed to shut the car down in just the hectic, and then because it had ran for almost 2 hours, I put it on dangerously low. Listen, some of us in this room today, you have been running so hectic and you have ignored the wisdom of the King who says you need time to rest. Physicians tell us that our physical makeup is designed in such a way that it requires an every seventh day of rest. Your body will work better if you get some rest. Psychologists tell us our emotions at times need a day of rest. Family counselors tell us that your family will do a lot better if every 7 days you have a moment where you just shut down. You don't go to work, you don't work from home, and you give attention to your family, special attention. We have families here at the church who have gone to gadget-free meals. You leave all your phones in the other room, shut them off. And when we come to the table, no gadgets, no TVs, no phones, nothing, just family time. Some of you have recognized that you've needed to go through a gadget fast occasionally. This happens for all of us. Jesus knew this would happen, so he gives us this prescription of here. I need you to hear this. Jesus' wisdom is come away or come apart. Mark chapter 6, verse 31, Jesus said to his disciples, come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while. Okay, real quick, what's happening in Mark chapter 6? The first part of Mark chapter 6 is the death of John the Baptist. Boy, you talk about dark days. They were in dark days then. John was arrested for doing nothing more than preaching. And he had been in jail for 9 months, and then he was beheaded. And his death rocked the disciples. Some of Jesus' disciples had originally been John's disciples, but when they heard John the Baptist say, behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, they became Jesus followers. So you can imagine when the news that John had been killed, man, that had to rock their heart. Just such dark days they were involved in. And then in the middle of all these dark days, ministry ramped up. You got the feeding of the 5,000. Was it important? It was absolutely important. Was it essential that everyone be working? It was essential that everyone be working. And so in the midst of this heartache, they didn't have time to really catch their breath. And so now they're serving people, they're feeding people, all very, very important stuff. But it's after all of that that Jesus utters these words, come away. Before you all come apart, let's get away. And this, by the way, was just time with Jesus. Oh gosh, I need you to hear how important that is. Just time with Jesus. In Luke chapter 10, there's a story of Martha and Mary. Luke 10, verses 38. Martha opened her home to Jesus and his disciples. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. This will cause Martha to snap, by the way. She's busy trying to feed all the disciples. She's busy with food. And before we're too hard on Martha, she's doing a really good thing. Have you ever had a special dinner guest at your house? Haven't you worked a little extra hard on that? Of course. And it doesn't get more special than having the Son of God to your... What do you feed him? Probably not deviled ham, but just, gotta feed him. And Martha's in work mode. Oh my goodness, every church loves the Marthas of our church who know how to just get in and just work hard. But Martha gets all caught up in the fact that her sister is just sitting there listening to Jesus, and she snaps. She goes to Jesus and starts giving him orders. Don't you care that my sister's not doing it? Tell her to get to work. Now she's giving him orders. You just know Jesus is going to let her have it good, don't you? I mean, he is really going to lean. No, that's not what happens. Jesus in this moment is very gentle. Luke chapter 10, verses 41. Martha, he said, and then he says it even more gentle, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things. Let me stop here for you. And Jesus often puts a mirror in front of people. This is what is going on in your life right now. You're really busy. You're really worried. It's eating you up inside, Martha. And some of you need to look at the mirror that Jesus is holding up today, because you are just equally as frazzled. And then he says, but the one thing that's needed, Mary has chosen what is better. It will not be taken away from her. What did she choose? In this busy moment, she chose to tune in to Jesus for a moment. Am I seeing this right? There was still a dinner to prepare. There was still work to be done, of course. But in a moment, she sits down and she rests long enough to tune into Jesus. Some of us have failed to learn the value of rest. I want to teach a little bit here this morning. I've been working on this for a while with the staff, and we've been putting this together. I'm just calling it the great crisscross. I don't have anything better to call that. If you ask somebody to describe Christianity, by the way, here's what most people do to describe Christianity. We're all here on earth. There's a time period that we're attached to, and then one day we die, and we all go to heaven or to hell. And Christianity is all about trying to stay above this morality line so that one day we can go to heaven. This is the way most people describe Christianity, that we're just trying to stay good enough so that we can go to heaven. There's even some of you sitting in here today and you're looking at this going, yeah, that's what I believe. No, it isn't. If you're a Christian, this is not what you believe. All right? Because let me tell you something about morality line. You can be a part of a morality line and still go to hell. You're going, wait a minute, what? There's only been one man ever in the history of mankind who could keep himself above the morality line. And his name was Jesus. And you and I, all of us, are frequently below the line. I dip below the line, you dip below the line. We've all had those moments when this has happened. If you sin just one time in your life, you put yourself into a category of a sinner. That's it, you're a sinner from here on in. And I'm there, and you're there, and all of us are right here. We've had these moments. So then we start playing this mind game. Oh man, I've been good today. I feel like I'm going to heaven, but then 2 days from now you might blow it, and then you're like, oh gosh, I hope I make it in. Are you going to heaven? Oh man, I hope so. I'm not sure. And most people see themselves only an inch away from heaven, and you don't recognize that you're 10,000 miles from heaven because you can't reach this line. So what did God do in this moment? God said, I'm going to rescue them. And he rescues us through the cross of Jesus Christ. He lets Jesus pay for all our sins here. And this is the great crisscross, that even people who have been below the morality line can one day still find themselves in heaven. This is Christianity right here. The cross. That it cleansed me from all that unrighteousness, that it washed away all those sins, that all of that happened because of one name, the name of Jesus Christ. This is Christianity. Does it mean that we don't try to live above the morality line? Of course we do, because we love him so much. But that's not what's getting us into heaven, that you're so good. It's because of him. It makes everything we do here more valuable. We trust the cross even to feed people that we can't see and meet. We give all of that to Jesus and trust him. And all of this works out for us. And the great crisscross. I don't know if you saw it on the news. I'll ask here in a minute. But just a little over a week ago, the two activists who went into the art museum in London, the Gallery of London, and they're anti-fossil fuel activists. And so they went into a Van Gogh painting, and they took out a can of tomato soup, and they slushed it up on that painting. That painting, by the way, is worth $83 million. And then they superglued their hands, and they put their hands on the wall, and they stood against fossil fuel. You know, destroy something beautiful to make our point. And it was all over the news. And boy, the social media went just crazy over this. How many of you saw that story? Did some of you see that story? Good. All right. So while the whole world was shocked, within an hour, the gallery in London came out with a statement, and they said, it's all okay. We got it. They said, believe it or not, only the frame was damaged. The tomato soup that was all over that painting, what the activists were unaware of was that there's a very thin glass coating right over that painting. We do it with all of our major works of art. And so none of the soup penetrated the work of art. And within a very short time, they had it all cleaned up, and they were ready to display it again. I tell you that to say Satan is trying to stain us so deeply that we will one day go to hell and be with him. And Jesus comes along and says that there's no stain that can't be erased. There's no stain that will ruin the artwork that I'm making in your life. If you will just trust me, if you'll just come alongside of me, I will see to it you get to heaven beyond the stains that we have left on our framework of our life. And so today, you can rest in this. You can, if you're a Christian today, worried about whether or not, you can take a deep breath. You can just rest in the work of Jesus Christ. Just rest. What is the value of coming to church on Sunday morning? You get to spend time with Jesus. You get to hear more about him. You get to catch your breath, and you get to be reminded that heaven isn't earned by your good works, but by what he has already done. And if you're rightly connected to Jesus, you are already a citizen of heaven. Relax. Rest. There will be other moments of work. 6 days you will work, the commandment said, but on the seventh I need you to rest with me. One more thing. I'm not sure I'm seeing this right, but I think I might be. When God was creating the world, he took 6 days to make the world, 6 days to create everything, and then on the seventh day, he rested. Now, did God need rest? No, but he's giving us this example of rest. Now, on what day did he create Adam and Eve? Day 6. He created Adam and Eve on the 6th day, and the first thing that Adam and Eve are introduced to is, guess what? Not work, but a day of just resting with the Father. Can you imagine? Oh, they had a job to do. You're going to tend the garden. You're going to name all the animals. You know, there was lots of work to do, but their first day of life, they're created, and the very next moment, God says, let me show you the value of just resting with me for a day. For you and I today, those of us who are running on empty, maybe what's adding to that right now is that we have just not valued rest the way God has. You got a lot to be thankful for today. All of us who participate in Harvest of Talents, we have a lot to be thankful for, but we can rest also. We've given it all to him. We trust Ides. It's all going to be a good thing for all of us. We'll roll up our sleeves, get busy for the next one. We will. But for today, you can come away or you can come apart.